What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. Today was a really interesting podcast. We started off by talking about the end-of-year financial results for one of my startups, my little toilet business. So we went through revenue, net profit, and the journey to get there. We then dove into that and talked about breaking down a year strategically when you've got a startup. So let's say you've got a startup like Dry Flush. How do you decide what are going to be the projects that you should do next as you develop your business out? And how do you come up with what things you should work on? In addition to that, we talked about Gemini inside of Google Gmail and how we're testing that right now to write email responses for us and help us draft better email responses and save a ton of time. We then talked about what we're doing in our personal lives around improving our sleep, things like sugar management, a really good hack for helping you get to sleep and stay asleep all night, which both myself and James have struggled with massively. We average 5 to 6 hours a night sleep. And the few things that I did in the last 7 days to immediately bump that to 7.5, which is unbelievable for me. And so I unpacked the 5 things that I did this week that have had a massive impact when I finally started to get a bit more serious about fixing that problem. And I talked about a couple of other things which I know you're going to have a good laugh at and also learn from. So with that said, enjoy the pod. Make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let us know what you think of the content. Bye for now. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. This is the Friday recap, and this is the light edition. We are down to 3 this week, myself, Mark, and James, because our compadre Eric is swanning around in the south of France and south of Italy, living the life of Riley. But how are you guys going? What's up, James?
Good, mate. Good. Pretty interesting week, which we'll unpack, I'm sure. But yeah, Eric, I don't know if I was him, I probably wouldn't come back. Some of the places he's been going to, it's been an absolute, just a trip from heaven.
Oh yeah, if you don't follow Eric on Instagram, you are missing out on Europe.
He's taken his Instagram to the next level, hasn't he, around Europe?
He's taken Italy to the next level, I think.
But yeah, I didn't even know there was a Dolce & Gabbana hotel in Portofino.
I bet his wallet does now.
Well, actually, last night he texted me and he said, man, they smash you hard at that Dolce & Gabbana. I said, well, those parties and yachts are not cheap.
Yeah, Did you just put that into context, that last bit of smashing? Eric, if you're listening, you know exactly what we're talking about.
So look, the hotel looked beautiful, and I've actually been through there. I love the Italian Riviera, and I went there with Cass a couple of years ago, and we rented a motorbike in Rapallo, and so we rode along that Italian Riviera through Rapallo, through all the little bays. And the day we went there actually was very interesting, because as we're going into Portofino, there was all this police control, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? And, I really want to see Portofino. And all the cars were banked up, and then the cops pointed at me, and I had Cass on the back, and waved us through. And I was like, oh, here we go, very VIP. And they said, oh, there's just no parking left in Portofino, so you can go in on a scooter, but you can't on a car. So we cruise on down there, and we're like, what's going on in Portofino? And for those who haven't been there, it's like at the end of a headland. So if you sort of imagine Noosa Heads, and that's as far as you can sort of go. Most spectacular bay with these massive super yachts. And we sit down and we're having a lunch, and this dude gets out of a tender, and he's got tattoos all over him, Dolce & Gabbana sunnies on, and it was Travis Barker who was there to marry Chloe or Kim. What was it? Kim? Not Kim.
The other Kardashian.
One of the Kardashians, and they were getting married there that weekend. And so you see the boat floating just out there. It was pretty cool time to be there.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty impressive trip. Everything he's been doing from start, from top Milan through to Portofino. He's just Santa Margherita, ready to the Cinque Terre this morning. Just did that exact trip, and nothing has changed at all. It still just looks super stunning.
He said he was going to do tours next year. He was going to take people on the trip with him, didn't he? Did he mention that along with the tax accounting course?
Let's throw him under the bus.
We'll get some of those MX store dividends around to us. But it's an amazing part of the world. And, I did Cass and I got a bit sort of confident on the scooter, and we thought, we'll ride down to the Cinque Terre. Did you? I don't know how you went there, but
we got boat down.
It's probably the best way. We took this scooter, and I don't know if you've done it, but when you go there, it was kind of an overcast, cold day, and so we're riding along. We're going. I said, let's just take the coastal road, and they have these tunnels, and they're one-way tunnels, and they are black as night. So you got lights on. And so, but you wait until the light goes green, then it's your direction. So we're sitting there for 5-10 minutes on the first tunnel, just going, oh yeah, okay, we'll just wait. And then you go into this black tunnel, and it is freezing cold, pitch black. And you think, oh, you'll be out in like a minute. You're in this thing for like 15 minutes. We're like Dumb and Dumber, freezing out to death on this bike, trying to get down to Chincoterra. And in the end, we gave in. We couldn't make it. There was like 3 of these tunnels that were endless.
Wow.
And not only that, is like, you cast as a lady's lady, and when your partner front shit himself as well. So you just felt overly fucking confident.
Oh, mate, like we stopped at a coffee cafe restaurant thing between one of the tunnels, and I said to her, honey, how about I call you an Uber? We'll get you home. And she's like, I'm ride or die. We're going to So she's hung on like a little koala bear. And she don't care. She's a lady.
That's what I'm saying.
She said, no, I'm sticking. And she's freezing on the back. And we got back and we laugh about it today.
What is it with dudes and scooters? I remember it was like 40 degrees in Melbourne. Quite the opposite story. It was 40 degrees in Melbourne. I'm like, oh, Dom, do you want to go down to the Pillars, which is like these... It's like this beach, but it's up on the rocks. You kind of hang out up on the rocks, and it's like something out of Europe, and it's just past Black Rock in Melbourne. And it's 40 degrees, and she's like, oh, do you think it's a good idea? I'm like, yeah, we'll have the wind on the scooter. But at 40 degrees, everything is melting up off the road. And by the time we got to the beach, Dom was like, I fucking hate you. I'm not coming back with you. And we had to wait till it cooled down.
Your undercarriage got a bit of exposure, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was pretty hot. It was pretty hot. And I'm just like, the way we do it's like, we'll suck it up, get through it, push through it. It's like proving our worth, proving my worth, proving I can get through adversity. And she's like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we doing this?
If you haven't done it, like I think it's a bucket list thing for guys. You sort of start off going to Bali on scooters, and you get a bit older, and you start going to south of France, the Italian Riviera. But it's a beautiful thing to do. Honestly,
yeah,
it's such a great trip, and totally worth doing. So let's get into it. Let's get into some business content. I might kick off with one thing, and then we can. It won't be a long discussion, I'm sure, and I'll talk about some other stuff I'm doing. I know you guys have got some stuff. So I sat down last week every month with my bookkeeper, Lizzie, who's a superstar. Shout out to Lizzie. She does all the books for Early Bird, Unemployable, all my portfolio companies, and she's great. And we sit down, and what I love about Lizzie is that she has had years of business herself. Lizzie, I think, is 72, something like that. And she does yoga. She's super fit and sharp as a tack. And so we sat down, and she looks at the P&L in the same way that we would, because she's imported cars from Japan and done all sorts of interesting stuff.
Wow.
So we sat down with DriveFlash, and she said, oh, geez, I love this little business. And I'm like, oh, I like the sound of this. How's the P&L doing? So it was our first full financial year, because we started the year before, but we went from sort of January to June, and this was the July 1st to June 30 last year. And we went through line by line, and we have some add backs in there. So things that we're spending money on that won't be sort of, for those listening, if you don't know what an add back is, if you have a seller business, there are certain expenses that aren't normal expenses that you invest when you're starting a company. Bottom line was, in our first full financial year, we netted $279,000 of profit, like real profit.
After add backs.
Yeah, on about $870,000 of revenue, which is really spectacular. Like that's a nearly 30% margin, I think, net, like real, no bullshit net profit. And so I was really stoked with that result, because that's really what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to build this thing. And honestly, I've got a guy that works with me that runs it, and it's such a simple business to run, and it's a joy to own. So I just want to share that.
That's incredible. Can I ask a couple of questions around that? Does that include your startup costs, or does it take a lot of that? Is that from the previous financial year? Because a lot of the times when you're starting a new business, you pump in $100,000, $200,000, $200,000, and that comes off the bottom line. Had that already passed? So I'm talking like graphic design, website, things like that.
You usually put them in as loans and you pull them out on the balance sheet. Not an income then prompts.
Exactly. Yeah. So I sunk about 200, and I think I invested 220,000 into the business.
Yep.
It made its very last loan repayment about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So it paid all of that back.
Wow.
In 18 months, nearly 2 years maybe. So it's repaid all the capital. So all those startup costs were just because I started with no money, and I funded the inventory, the website, the graphic design, all of that stuff. So it's repaid all of that money. And also in that 279, what I didn't count was there were interest payments that it paid to my family office, because the way I structure these deals is I lend the money to the business with a 10% coupon or interest rate for those unfamiliar. So let's say the balance was 200,000, it would pay me 20,000 a year in interest plus any dividends. But I didn't take any dividends at all for 2 years. So we're now in a position that's
when it comes back to that term EBITDA. So there'll be interest and that sort of stuff, and then loads are up the top of that. And
Right.
then, what Adam's probably talking about is what's called normalised earnings, not profit, and with all those other considerations taken into place.
How it just goes to show like how important it is to kind of understand the numbers. Like I'm still looking at it from a different perspective, not from that operational year. Yeah.
And we started that business super lean. Like when we started, because I did it to show Josh, our son, how to start a business from nothing. So we actually rented a shipping container opposite Harbour Town on the Gold Coast, and we bought a little printing machine so that when we made a sale, the phone would go ting, we'd print off the shipping label, we'd go down to the shipping container, we'd pick one up, we'd put the label on the box, and then we'd drop it off at the post office. That's how we started. And we did that for like 6 months, and then we realised, okay, this is getting a bit much. And also, if we get a shipment in from overseas, we have to meet the truck. I did it once. We have to meet the truck at the shipping container in Harbour Town, and then we have to unload the truck with them because they send one guy. And so you got to unload it, then pack it into the shipping container. But it most importantly meant we had to be here for that, which for me, my number one value in business is freedom. And so having to be there for those shipments was a problem. So we moved to a 3PL in Brisbane, and now we can be anywhere.
It's interesting when you look at what it costs to run it, and also then when you do make a few changes, what it actually can look like, and pretty dramatically. We had a meeting with the accountant yesterday as well, and just by shifting one of the companies to a full 3PL, we got rid of 2 sheds. It's just $220 a year, and 4 staff, which are about $240. So automatically, if it was in the next financial year, it's $400,000 straight out of the gate, and just by changing up the model. And that's
phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And if you're selling a business for 3 or 4 times earnings, that's $1.5 to $2 million of net worth you just added to yourself.
So to with a few just little changes along the way. Not only that, everything gets dropped as well when you switch to a model like that. I mean, your insurance comes down, your employment insurance comes down. There's a whole lot of after stuff that's all gets slashed and burned. You go, fuck, what into this 12 months ago? Because when you acquire something, you go, well, that was the way it was always done. Let's see how this baby hums just for the interim, and then we'll go, let's start carving stuff off it and see how it can really operate. So that was an interesting call we had yesterday as well.
Yeah, so what does that mean? What does that mean for you now if you want to expand the business? Because one of the exercises that we're trying to do in our business at the moment was we're trying to say, okay, we want to grow. We have ambitions to go from 3 million a year to 10 million a year. But in order to fuel our growth, we need to remain cash flow positive, right? We don't want to be keep on going more into debt. So how do you take, say, that 30% profit or the $270,000 of profit and then plan out your growth plan? Or is there no growth plan for this particular business?
This is a really interesting discussion, Mark, particularly on this business, because this business I have purposefully and intentionally been very explicit about it being a lifestyle business. Mm-hmm. So the one constraint is that we are in Australia. I only have the rights to Australia, so we are constrained to this market. Now, there is probably definitely money being left on the table by not going to the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show, for example, or the disability trade shows around the country, or the mining expos, or the this, or the this, or the this. But I just don't want to do that. Mm. I do not want to stand at trade shows and do those things. So I am constraining the business to my lifestyle. I want a business that I can be in the Italian Riviera and somebody has a support issue that can be answered by AI or a phone call or whatever. So in my case, it's very, very being purposely built for that. But if I was younger and poorer.
Keyword. We'll change the lifestyle for poorer.
Well, like if I was trying to still, money was my number one priority, and for a lot of listeners it should be, accumulation of capital, I would be doing a lot of those other things, just working my nuts off, and I would be there on a Saturday at the boat show. So they're super taxing. So I think to answer your question, it could be bigger, but I want a business that's completely digital. I don't I like Google for what we do because it's an intentional search. If somebody sits down to Google and types in camping toilets or disability toilets, I know they're looking for one right now. Whereas I don't want to play the game of trying to hook people on social media and do all these different things for that.
So I've got a couple of questions around that, just when it comes to growth and lifestyle business and still keep it within that sphere, is about that. Have you maxed out spend on Google? I mean, is there a case now where you will have to go to drag in create some more awareness on Facebook and create another audience like Dan from X was talking about?
We are doing it now.
Yeah.
So we are doing retargeting on Facebook. And I was cynical about it, but we're getting 1 to 2 sales a week just from retargeting now. So, and the other thing we've done is SEO. So now I know that sounds like an outdated concept, but really a good SEO company now is a publicity company. And what I mean by that is the company we hired is not cheap. It's $5,000 a month for SEO. And we're doing it for 1 year. So we signed a 12-month contract. They're out of Adelaide and they've been fantastic so far. But they basically said, look, one of the biggest needle movers we can do is increase site authority. And to do that, we need to get legitimate stories.
Backlink strategies.
Backlinking, but not hacks.
No,
Like
through
literally reaching out to caravan and camping sales or reaching out to the NDIS providers and engaging with them and saying, listen, we got this great product. If we write an article about it for you, or if you've got somebody, could we collaborate to get an article on your site about it? And it's really publicity work.
advertorial work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's advertorial work. And that's what they're doing. They're actually reaching out. They've got a network of other sites and different things. So we're doing SEO. We're investing 60 grand into SEO this year. And the goal is by next year, I think we can probably get the business to about 2 million a year. And if we can maintain that 30% net, I don't think we'll sell the business. We'll probably just hang on to it because it's so easy to run.
That's zero. Is at the moment zero cold on social ads, or you got to maybe play?
We haven't done any cold. We did try. We did a 3-month trial of cold traffic on social.
Yeah.
But again, because it's a $2,000 product, and because I'm a bit lazy when it comes to this business, I know that to be effective cold on social, you've got to be really committed to the creative, and I'm not really committed to the creative. I just don't know. I mean, I'd love to hear your story because I know without revealing the product, you shocked the shit out of me when you said you're selling $40,000 or $50,000 sales off cold Facebook traffic. I'd love to talk to you about that. But for us, I'm just like, I just don't know that you could go up to a party and go, hey, you want to buy a toilet for $2,000? Because that's really what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
What's your thoughts? Like, what do you?
To be honest, I checked out your ad library yesterday.
Yeah.
On Facebook, one ad running, and it was clearly a retargeting ad. So that's why I was curious, going, I'm interested to see what coal would look like on that.
We're using your Facebook guide.
Yeah. They're great.
I've been really happy with them.
Yeah. Communication's great. They're on shore, all the good stuff that we're looking for. Mm-hmm. But look, we run for one of the business. We run cold social ads, and they go through a funnel. Obviously, they spit out the bottom, and also run Google search, and also some Google shopping ads if you want to fire sale stuff, which is proving to be a bit more of a challenge than we first thought from the fire sale side of it. But so we run a full lead gen model, which goes through the sales team. And look, we're pretty biased. The results were biased towards Google pretty much majority of last year. But we look at the sales data on a monthly perspective now, and it started to get up there, not quite 50-50 when it's come from a Facebook lead or from a Google lead. And look, you can't be 100% clear on attribution these days. That's a minefield. I think Dan was even talking about it on here. It's where the lead actually, where was first click? And you go, okay, do I want to go and spend $2,000 a month on ad attribution software? Not really. So we just go down, where was the opt-in from? And it's starting to become what would have been 70-30, 80-20 before is now probably about 60-40. So we're getting some decent results, and we're not spending much on Facebook in comparison to Google. So, we're getting leads there now, the quality leads. We changed up our funnel anywhere from $8 to $9 on there, but you might be 3 to 1.
It amazes me because for the listener, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a bit like selling commercial turf It's like, you know what I mean?
Boring as fuck.
But it's a very specific buyer for like commercial turf, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're selling. It's not commercial turf, but it's this equivalent, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I just don't understand how you could accurately target somebody. It's just amazing. Facebook must know a lot about us.
I've been doing a lot of digging into Facebook recently, and the origin of my question was, for the last 3-4 months, 6 months even, I've been playing around with different ideas, like how do I grow this business? What's the linchpin or the next domino? And we've looked at potentially increasing the product range, but product ranges are getting harder and harder. I've looked at potentially just keeping the business as it is and letting it kind of run, similar to what you're doing with Dry Flush, or going off of Amazon. This is for the home business. And we're looking at Facebook at the moment. And we had Kenny on from Like My Bricks, who had the whole lead gen strategy through competitions and things like that, and then targeting his database twice a year and trying to increase the AOV, the average order value, and he was able to do $5 million worth of sales in that 2-week period. So I'd love to get your thoughts, and this is why I asked the question. It's like there's so many different areas where we can spend the cash flow that we've got. We could do SEO, we could hire someone to help us find new products, we could invest in new products. But what I've chosen, where I'm going to put my attention, is in Meta, Facebook ads, and starting to promote the products off of Amazon, and start with a lead generation campaign, and then move into those sale campaigns. So yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts if you think I'm going in the right direction, what I should be looking out for. And
I think Adam's answered this quite a few times in the pod when you talk about other products as the AOV, and then it's going to be a lead gen campaign or an e-com. If you do a lead gen campaign, you want to make it worth a few $3 or $4 grand to make it worthwhile, because you've got to put salespeople involved in there. You've got to put all that in place.
We're thinking something a little bit different. So I'm thinking to look at running giveaways. So it's giveaways to a spin the wheel, or competitions where 1 in 100 wins. So like pure lead gen, top of funnel type stuff, and trying to get the clicks down, or trying to get those leads those email addresses as cheaply as possible without the sales process.
So you just want to run an ad for your homewares brand where, let's say it's ABC Homewares is giving away $1,000 worth of sheets.
Yep, or buy this homeware product for $1. And then it takes it to a spin the wheel where, we'll give away every 50, someone will get it for $1. Other people might get coupons.
So your objective with the Facebook campaign is just to build your email list.
Yes.
And then you want to start marketing your products and services to the email list.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't have an email list. We have
I think the answer to your question is there's not ever one right question that can be answered in 5 minutes, because every business is vastly different. So in your case, you sell products that pretty much every home has or will need or could upgrade to, and they're products that were all under $200.
Yeah.
Whereas I sell an electric toilet for $2,000, average cart of $2,700. So it's a bit like in your case, that makes sense. Like here's an introduction to our brand, and if you sleep and you have bedwear and you like nice stuff, then that's a lot of people. You've got an everybody brand, which is great, and I think that could make sense. My strategic advice to somebody would be, the way I run things with my businesses generally is I look at all the opportunities on the table, and I get around with maybe 2 or 3 people in a little offsite, my leadership team or whatever. These are the opportunities on a post-it note. Which ones do you think are going to be the best? We all agree, and that one, then that one, then that one, and then that one. Okay, so Q1, we're going to do that one, and we're going to make that our primary focus for this quarter. Then next, we just did it with the website replacement. That was the quarter focus. Then it's the SEO quarter focus. Then it's the replacement of the videos. That's the next quarter. And if you do that, at the end of the year, you come back and you've moved these big rocks, these 4 big rocks that elevate. And we're seeing the pay with Dry Flush's new website now. We're getting higher conversions. It's just better across everything. And, so that would be, I think you're not doing the wrong thing at all.
Yeah, I can't really comment to that much since I've always sold high ticket.
Yeah.
So
I think for listeners, one thing I just want to highlight before we move on to the next thing, again, this is why, for those of you that are listening and you are, business is about an outcome, right? It's about getting wealthy and getting capital. And so that one day you can stop working and enjoy your life. You know, I mean, not stop working. You can keep working and enjoy your life, but just have that security. Just being able to wake up in the morning and go, I'm okay. I'm not going to go broke. Everything's good for the family. That little story of Dry Flush, what's so powerful about it is putting in $220,000, getting all of the capital back with interest over 18 months, and then having an asset that I honestly believe in another year will probably net $500,000. You know, an asset that has $500,000 of cash flow profit, real profit coming in, that you've got zero out of dollars, it probably adds $2 million. In that case, I could probably sell it for $4 million because it's a patented product. I have exclusive distribution. I don't have any risk of anybody selling against me, and I have recurring revenue.
And it's run under management.
Like for real. Run under management. Like I literally spend 30 minutes a week on it. That's it. So that's probably $2 million added to my net worth and $500,000 of income. For most people, that's it. They could be done there. They could live off that money forever. So the point is, business is so powerful when you get it right for creating wealth, right? And so that's why you want to keep listening to these pods and keep mastering and keep learning, because nothing will ever beat business. And then you invest if you don't need the 500,000, buy property or invest in a low risk blue chip portfolio of shares and just let it compound.
Or YOLO into crypto.
Hodl.
But it's not difficult, is what I'm saying, in terms of the how to do it's not difficult, but finding the right business is very difficult.
As you said, though,
right business and right strategy, right? Like that's the thing that I'm always going back and forth on, the the strategy.
What were you saying?
I was just going to say that it all can sound so easy when you've only been doing it for 25 years too.
Yeah.
No. What I meant to say, simple.
No, I wasn't being facetious when I said that. I was being absolutely factual about it. It's like how many times you've had your ass handed to you, as have I, and it's not that much fun most of the time. And I was only talking to some quite successful people at the weekend, and they were going through about 21 of their businesses, and I think they've had 2 winners.
Yes.
And they fucking when they found the winner, they just doubled down and sent it to the moon. And they said, "Look, we're pulling like post mortem of everything we've gone through," and it was a pretty interesting conversation. And yeah, it's certainly not a game of get it right more than get it wrong.
You only need to be right once.
And then double the fuck down.
Yes.
So what do you think? What do you think is the biggest transferable learning from that lesson from them that we can take into our businesses?
Just keep going.
Just keep
learn.
There was a quote that I saw on the. I think I posted it on my Instagram on the weekend. It's like, go, you keep going and I'll find it, because I don't want to ruin the punchline, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you said there, James, is right. Like, unless you're really talented, which none of us are, let's be honest, like there are some people that are just really smart, like Elon Musk. He's had some failures as well, but he's just extremely bright. That's not most people. Most people are going to have to go and screw up and make mistakes and then sort of find their way there through bashing walls.
Yeah, so courage is knowing it might hurt and doing it anyway. Stupidity is the same, and that's why life is hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's there's so much nuance. So just seeing if there's anything else in that lesson, but
there totally is. Yeah. And I think, the one thing that I can draw from it is that the more people that as I get older, who I think I look at their business and go, that genuinely is a good business, they're usually less and less sexy as you age.
Yeah.
And they've also been in them for 10 or 15 years, and they've worked their ass off that whole majority of that time as well, which is the key ingredient that I think a lot of people leave out on the Instagram.
It's so true. I met up with a mate on the weekend who, in 2016 was telling me about this business idea, and it's like an everyday trade idea. And I'm like, that's a great idea. And then, I spoke to them now about it, and they're actually doing it. And it rhymes a lot with like what Eric's doing at MX Store. And I'm like, fuck, the opportunity for this is so big, because we can see what MX has been able to do with basically a really small niche product. And this is like an everyday thing. And I just thought, it's being in the trade for that years and years and years, and having the idea and coming across the opportunity, sometimes, you know, the universe just aligns for it to happen. And it's not that sexy, right? The less sexy it is, sometimes the better.
Yeah, it often is. I was coaching a client last night, and it's a really non-sexy industrial product that they actually manufacture in Sydney. They have a factory in Sydney, another one in Newcastle, and they sell them direct to real estate developers. And I was just like, wow, like you make millions of dollars a year selling this one obscure little thing that every commercial building needs to have, and they make it in Sydney. And we were talking about, he said, I'm thinking about maybe drop shipping some stuff or getting some stuff from China now. And I'm like, let's talk about that, because I think you've got a huge opportunity here. And when we go in and we Google that product and the competition comes up, they're just amateur marketers by comparison. And I said, and they usually got 50 other commercial products that buildings need. I said, if you just make a website that in the domain, it is that one product, and you become the expert in that one product, I think there's a real opportunity here. If you're doing the millions of dollars, which he is, well, I'm doing millions of dollars right now just making these things in my factories, and I don't do any online advertising at all. He's not even got a website. I said, how are you getting this business? He goes, oh, you know, just word of mouth over 5 years. And he's going, maybe I should put somebody on the road as like a business development manager. I'm like, no, mate. What you should do is set up a website and master traffic.
That's what we go through. Like, should I do this? Should I do that? And it's through lack of experience or reps.
I was thinking about that's where you need a mastermind or people that would be better around, or join a coaching program and have it laid out in front of you. But I was only listening to a pod on the way to this morning, and it was amazing, just riffing on, you know, the one thing effectively and being the master of that domain versus, you know, a shiny object and trying to build out a catalogue of products. It's like, are you the fucking best in the business for that one to start with? Before you're the best in business of that, and you've got multi-platform, like, forget it.
Like, for example, you know, just make it real for people. If you love boats, be the one person that sells what are the floaty things that go off the side called?
Fenders,
yeah. AussieFenders.com.au. Just boat fenders, you know, or boatropes.com.au or whatever. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the pod. I just want to take a quick moment to share a quick story with you about something going on in one of my businesses right now. We are using artificial intelligence to send a voice clone of myself directly into our customers' voicemail inboxes the moment after they purchase our product. Well, not the moment, a few minutes after. So with our toilets business, Dry Flush, people put in their name, their email, their phone number when they order the toilets. 5 minutes later, their phone rings once and it goes straight to their voicemail. And we're using an AI that clones my voice and says, hey, Terry, if that's their name, grabbing the name from the order form using my voice, it drops a customized voicemail to say, hey, Terry, what's going on? Adam here from Dry Flush. Just want to say thank you so much for ordering one of our toilets. Sorry I missed you. I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate your business. If there's anything you need, just send us an email at hello@dryflush.com.au. And that goes out to every customer every time a few minutes after the purchase. This is what the team at earlybird.ai are building for us right now, as along with some other very, very cool solutions that are going to increase customer experience, increase the number of 5-star reviews we get, and automate the amazing experience that we are aiming to provide when you buy from our e-commerce store. So if you want to learn about that and your business is doing over $500,000 a year, you qualify for a free audit with the team at earlybird.ai. That's EARLI, earlybird.ai. And they will do an audit of your business and show you how they can put artificial intelligence like that into your business, whether it's voice cloning, video face cloning, all kinds of amazing technologies that are available right now. So go over there, get your free audit, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. If you look into those niches, go into Whitworth's and look at all the catalog style business, and a lot of people could have a really successful business, even just in Australia with a TAM. If you look in RSA Workwear or these like big retailers that stock a whole bunch of stuff, be the one website that when they Google it, it comes up and you see the Google ad and it says AussieBoatFenders.com.au.
Exactly what you typed in.
Exactly what you typed in. And because, and you could import them and have a little warehouse and drop ship them. There's a bunch of stuff you could do.
We've got a mutual friend that's been in the US at the moment, and he's got an online aggregation business, and he was just saying that he's seen a bunch of those businesses in the US, and it's like a 21 times bigger market. And he's like, they're selling them for like peanuts. He goes, I can go in and double the revenue. Like the opportunity overseas where there's a bigger TAM to buy unsexy businesses as well is just so great as well.
One of the first guys I met in America was an investment banker, and I said, what's the best business you've ever seen? And he said, a guy that sells boat ropes for super yachts and cruise ships. And I'm like, what else does he sell?
That's it.
Just rope for super yachts and cruise ships, the big stuff. And like this, you know.
Talk about niche businesses. My business partner, one of the businesses, he's been an M&A guy for quite a while, and he got onto. He said, when he was doing some research to look at some companies, he got into what they call judges, magistrates, gowns, and wigs. America, how litigious is that joint? Anyway, multi-million-dollar business. Another one.
No way.
Another one I looked on down here on the Gold Coast was there's a special type of cabling that goes in golf carts. Like golf buggies and the wiring looms and whatnot. And that thing was doing $2 million a year, one-man band with a 50% margin, $1 million a year. And he goes, what should I do? And he goes, fucking more of what you're doing now. Like, just...
Man, I agree with that. I think if there's... Like, if I was starting out day one, trying to go from my 9 to 5 into business, that's the first thing that I would probably do is scour all the businesses that are out there that are available and try and take something over. Like... You know, having just set up a new brand in a very, very sexy niche, like I don't know if I would ever go into a sexy niche and start from scratch again. There's too much opportunity out there of things that are already established, and then use the marketing skills and e-commerce skills that, you know, that we know to then develop that business in a niche where no one's doing it, right? It's like exactly what you're doing.
The key to it as well, though, is you've got to have those higher ticket if possible, right?
Yeah.
Like that's important. Like what you're doing. What's the average order in that business?
Or repeat business.
The average order value, one of them is about $6 or $7 grand, and the other one, it's brand new here in Australia, but I'd have to say it'd be about 25 or 30 grand. That's for the base, but then you have the outliers that are $400,000 or $500,000, but they're custom stuff. But you know, when you're 25 grand to play with, what you've said in you know, it sort of switches away from percentages, from gross profit as a percentage, and marketing is it back to the dollar when you get chunks in there like that. So
it's either high order value or very long lifetime value.
Yeah,
right.
The problem, repeat business or
your new brands.
Yeah, that's what you got to look for. But interesting.
That's the thing that you just can't learn on day one, or you just can't learn. You know, you keep saying coaching program, but you just can't learn that in a coaching program until you've done the reps, right? Yeah. You've got to actually give things a go and try.
Yeah. I saw an interesting business this week, which I'll just mention quickly. The same coaching client in the call said, my son, he wants to get into, he watched Cody Sanchez on Diary of a CEO, and now he's all pumped about making $380 a day because he worked out that's $100,000 a year or whatever it was. And he said, we're thinking about getting him into products. I said, he would be better off going into a digital business to start with than products, because there's so many things that can go wrong with products.
Yeah.
I said, here's a simple little idea that'll teach him the important aspects of business. They could start like literally in 2 or 3 days. And so what it was on my Instagram, I see these ads and it says, level up your Zoom game and like get a virtual background with your logo. And here's some examples of they get your logo and they make it look like an office behind you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of blurred out, and they do a sharp one and a blurred one, and then there's a creative office and there's different things. And so I thought, you know what, I do need to level up my Zoom game. I do need to get a nice background. Everybody who's pretty much in business. So you've got an everyone product. And it was $89 US for the super pack, which was like 4 designs. And I said to him, he could actually take that idea, because all you need is a very simple website, a landing page. You need some Instagram ads, and then you've just got to basically buy the customer for less than $89 on whatever you pay the graphic designer in the Philippines.
AI
or whatever. AI, or you have a Filipino or offshore contractor that does them for you. So you charge them, you pay $10 per logo pack to somebody, and you buy the customer for $50 and you make $20 profit, you know. And I said that will teach him everything he needs to know about the cost of lead and conversion. and he can start it with no inventory, no nothing. He literally could get 90% of that done in a week if he had a little bit of coaching.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really good one.
Stock-based businesses, they can be quite confusing if you don't get it right.
It's like having a baby, you know. It's a 20-year experiment. You don't know if you fucked up till the end. One thing I tried this week was Google Gemini, which was interesting. Have you guys turned that feature on?
No.
I have. Ages and ages ago, it was Bard, Gemini, and all this. There's a whole range of their AI tools that goes in there.
Yeah, I finally clicked on where they keep offering me to try Google Gemini free for 30 days, and I did it. So it's fully embedded natively into Gmail, and it's got this little wand that you just click, and it can like get an email, and you click the wand, and it can reply to the email for you, and then it shows it to you and say insert, and then the whole email's written, and then you can just like edit it a little bit if you want to.
Yeah.
So my early testing is interesting but it also, you can prompt, so like write James an email about this, this, and this. But at the moment, it's taking me as long to write the prompt as it is just to write the email.
Yeah.
So I'm not a ninja on it yet, but I will report back and see.
But once like it's an AI, inbox AI, right? So over time though, the prompt you'd be able to train Gemini within your inbox, so it would.
I think so.
It works up front.
I think so.
To get your tone.
To get my tone, but also just to tell it what you want it to say. If you're starting with a blank email, you have to give it a prompt. Like, so I've tested it with a few things, and what it is good for, at the very least, is, with Grammarly, you can sort of go and say, fix my grammar. So you write the email, and then you can just say, can you please spell check this and make it sound more professional or more friendly? And then all of a sudden you realize how bad you are, because the AI just goes boom and makes it look formatted better. Spelling's all correct, apostrophes are where they're meant to be, that's been kind of fun.
Do you I remember when I was in Taiwan? I said to message you guys. I said, "Have you used the new voice activated ChatGPT on phone?" And now it's obviously on desktop, and I was always like, it still isn't like creature of habit. You go back to still writing prompts. Like I'm still back at GPT. It's all written. I don't do a voice prompt in there ever, and I sometimes kick myself and go, "Why did I just spend half an hour writing that? Like, how long it's going to take?" When I could have just spoken it, and it would have picked it up probably a lot quicker than me having to.
Can you speak to the Gmail though? I
don't know whether you can in Gemini. I know with obviously ChatGPT, when you got the desktop version now, it's all voice.
Because I can't wait for the day where I go to my inbox in Gmail and all my emails are already responded to in drafts, and I just go through and go,
wow.
Click. I think it's actually possible now, but I just haven't figured it out. So I'm going to try and figure it out, and if I do, I'll come back and I'll report. Yeah, because that would be a game changer.
I've been using ChatGPT a little bit lately. I've continued to use it for the macro and the trading and the chart analysis stuff. One of the drawbacks that I'm finding it has at the moment is that it sometimes forgets instructions, or the instructions have been superseded by something else you've said in the thread, and then it doesn't deliver the analysis in a consistent way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sometimes I find with prompts when I train them up and whatnot, after a while, it feels like they're diluted and they just go in this loop, and then you got to try and get them back, and you go, you know what? If I could go back to my initial prompt, delete that and start again. It's just like they go a little bit crazy. So
yeah, that's a weird one. I'm wondering if there's an application layer or a programming layer that's going to be built on top of these language learning models to remember your the way you want something presented, for example.
Yeah. I think there's hope for that inside of your native environment. So like when you've got Gemini operating inside of your Google inbox, because then it's sort of contained to that environment. But it'll be interesting to see. It's such an interesting space as it's moving along.
We just on the whole lead generation campaign, I basically used ChatGPT one afternoon to kind of structure that whole brief for our graphic designers, because we obviously the biggest part of that strategy is creating the content. And so I basically, ChatGPT put together a whole content creation plan, what we need to create, emails, intro emails, and it's all these things that I didn't even think of. And then I asked it, what are some programs that I could use to kind of augment my results or A/B test? And it kind of, said Hotjar and this and that, and gave me all these suggestions.
Wow.
So I basically came up with like a 25-page document. It's too long, right? But it's a full inclusive brief of everything we need to do from start to finish to run this lead gen campaign. to then A/B testing different titles to doing the work. So I'm just like, okay, whoa. I would have sat there for weeks and weeks and weeks, umming and ahhing and procrastinating about what to do, and it did it in an afternoon.
And you would have missed a lot of things.
There's so many things that I'm like, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that.
You know, it's again what James keeps saying. You got to actually do that deep work early in the morning, and instead of sitting down with a blank piece of paper, sit down with ChatGPT. Like I had an instance this week where we did a call about 6 months ago, and we were like, geez, in that call, I'm sure we talked about this particular thing. It was about a formulation for a product we're developing at the moment. And I went to the AI that we use, Fathom, which had kept the video, and I exported the transcript, dropped it into ChatGPT and said, can you go through this and tell me anywhere it mentioned this particular ingredient and the impact that it has in this context? And instantly it said, at 16 minutes, you talked about this. Here's a summary of what you talked about. I was like,
that is wild.
It just constantly, because I was buckling down to watch the whole thing again and try to find where it was. And it's just like, man, it's just such a powerful tool. Gave me back at least an hour and a half of my day. Did it in real time.
That's another one. The whole post-it note strategy. So get all the ideas, put them up on the wall as post-it notes. So I basically did that in my notebook without post-it notes, and I'm like, okay, here are the 8 different things that I can work on with my business. So I basically put it into a note into ChatGPT. I'm like, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do these different things. Which of these do you think is the lowest hanging fruit and could move the needle most? And then it ranked the ideas and gave me an explanation as to why the ideas.
It's amazing. In 2 weeks,
that was like my brain's trust.
In 2 weeks, you had that conversation previously about, just starting not with a blank piece of paper, and now you're like fucking addicted to it.
No,
and you ask everything. You go, what's the best order? What's the chronological order? Which is the most highest important priority? That's
Well, I kind of do the work. I kind of in a sense took that message to heart. I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this doing the work part? And I've applied it to basically my process and my workload, and it's my productivity's just been through the roof. And
it's a game changer.
For me, it was, and I think this is why I pushed on the issue. It wasn't that I wasn't putting in effort. I was just misguided. And I was banging up against walls, and yeah.
Good stuff. We'll keep going with that. I'll report back on Google Gemini. Any of you guys got anything on your list that you're busting to talk about?
Mate,
I got a few more here.
You go for it.
If you haven't. So.
No, I'm good.
No, you go.
So another big change this week, which I'm sure this will open up a discussion. I stopped coffee, right? Again. And I love coffee. I think if I destroy one or two more things, I can pretty much get rid of all joy in my life.
There's a good meme on that.
So I've gotten rid of coffee. I'm a week into coffee free, inspired by you, Mark. And when you talked about sleeping 8 hours, James and I looked at each other and I'm like, I just can't imagine sleeping 8 hours. I literally cannot. I think I've slept 8 hours maybe once in the last 5 years, and I was drugged up to the eyeballs on something, Codral at nighttime or something.
All the heavy stuff.
Yeah, whatever. Got to a point, I'm not kidding, where I was going to the chemist to buy Codral cold and flu tablets just to get the nighttime. I don't want the pseudo stuff in the day. I'm good. It's at night I just can't sleep because my mind is like popcorn, like it's a hot pan. It's just pop. So I thought I'm going to get a bit more serious. So I quit coffee, and I committed with my wife that we're not going to have sugar or try to avoid sugar during the week, and on the weekends just have some sugar if we want it. But I've cut out all the snacking and the other thing, the 3 things was coffee, sugar, and committing to 10,000 steps a day. And those 3 things, and I've instantly lost 3 kilos.
Wow!
In a week, just by walking 10,000 steps a day, and my sleep. And the other, also, there's one more thing. I use mouth tape and nasal strips, and the mouth tape has been transformational for me. And the nasal strips, honestly, help me sleep. It's helping me stay asleep. So before I had, my wife tells me like sleep apnea, where you wake up, you stop breathing, and that sort of thing. The mouth tape, it was weird for the first few days. I was like, oh, this is actually weird. I feel like I was freaking out going, I'm going to suffocate or whatever.
Yeah, so I want to ask about that. Can we touch on that a little bit more?
That.
Yeah.
So you got to have them with the nasal strips. So the nasal strips, I bought some in for you guys, right? And everybody I've given nasal strips to, I'm going to pop that on your nose, tell me what you think. And they're like, whoa, like it's instant, right? It just opens up deviated septums or whatever. So opens up, so all of a sudden you got all this air flushing through your nose. And then I put the mouth out. First night I was like, oh, you got to get the right one. The one I've got at the moment is sort of a bit stretchy, and we're actually going to be selling this as part of our new brand that we're launching. So we're going to actually give it away with the main product. It'll be a tough business to build on its own, but it's kind of stretchy, and I put it over the mouth, and as long as you breathe your nose, and I'm falling asleep, staying asleep.
And is there any
I could risk pack it in for someone else on the weekend. Just fucking here, shut up. You know, like a daytime application.
Well, that's the weird thing. You got to wait till your wife's come to bed. You've had the nighttime talk, whatever, before you put the mouth tape on. Last night she was out working. She comes to bed and she's like, "Hey, honey," and I'm like, but exactly that.
Is there any risk of like suffocation or anything like that? Because I use I got the mandibular splint like specially made for me to kind of keep my tongue back and stop snoring, and it's reduced my snoring. But I want to try the mouth tape as well, because now I've had the operation, because I did have a smashed septum.
Yep.
and you know I'm sleeping so much better now. But I'm wondering whether I should try the mouth tape.
You definitely should.
Okay.
In my opinion. I've got a whole bunch of samples coming from China right now. I've had one round of samples, got another round of samples coming because we're going to sell them. But some have a little breathing hole, just a tiny little one there.
Mm-hmm.
And even without the hole in it, the ones that I use, you can breathe through them a little bit if you really need to.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is I put them on and I lie down, and then I usually then get a bit sleepy and start to yawn, and you can't yawn. So that's a cruel torture. So I've eventually figured I've got to lie down, wait till I'm starting to yawn, get the yawns out, then put it on, and then I go to sleep.
Interesting.
But honestly, it has stopped my snoring dead in its tracks, because you can't snore when your mouth is closed.
Just on that, like if anyone, we speak a lot about anxiety and managing your energy and doing all these different things, but if anyone out there is having sleep trouble, go to the chemist and get a sleep apnea test. My mum just did one recently, because she's like, I'm waking up with headaches and nausea, and sometimes I'm vomiting. I'm like, you're not getting enough oxygen. You got sleep apnea. And she's like, what? I'm like, you've got sleep apnea. And she got her test results back. She's got sleep apnea, and sleep apnea is like a spectrum. You got mild, conservative, you got moderate, and severe. And I had severe sleep apnea when sleeping on my back. But even like moderate and mild sleep apnea can starve you of the oxygen you need at night. And if it's causing wake-ups, so if you're going to bed, you're waking up because you're holding your breath, and then you got shit on your mind, that's the formula for not being able to get back to sleep.
That's the problem.
Right?
Well, in 1 week, with this change, my sleep has gone from 5.5, maybe, which is kind of my normal, maybe 6 on a good night, to like 7.5, which is a massive difference.
That's incredible. Well done.
How's the coffee journey withdrawal? Like you're not a coffee, well, straight. My experience with you, I've known you for quite a while, is you haven't been like a major coffee drinker. Maybe one a day.
Well, maybe two. 1 to 2, and nothing after midday.
Yeah.
That was good. I had a mild headache for a day, but after that it's gone. It's the ritual. So, it's I like going to a coffee shop and sitting down.
Do you still drink decaf?
So it's a question around that then. So those mints you had, the focus mints or qualia minor, would you still take them knowing they're for the caffeine driven?
No.
Right. So it's a good detox on caffeine, not coffee.
Yes.
The difference.
Yeah, I stopped drinking diet drinks as well for the same reason.
Have you, just a question on that, on performance, and I was sort of deviating a little bit. Have you looked into nicotine? Like how Hormozy, because nicotine, it is not actually harmful, allegedly. It's the way you induce it, whether you're smoking it and I'm just joking, is where the harmful part comes from it. So there's quite a few people that I've listened to of late have talking about the benefits of performance through nicotine.
I haven't looked at it enough to know. I know Hormozy takes gummies and stuff
I've looked into it, and the one thing that the reason that I didn't take it at that time, and I'm not saying that I would never take it, because I think there's some really, really good evidence that it helps you to focus and zero in. But your body is like a balance, so like parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. If you're in your fight or flight nervous system and you're taking nicotine, then you're going to enhance that fight or flight system that your body is in. So it's like if you're in a calm enough state and then you take nicotine, your focus is just going to be so zeroed in. But if you're in a stress and anxious state and then you take nicotine, people might correct me, but my research was that it's probably choose one or the other and try and get that balance right.
I think Richie, one of the guys that we played poker with, said it quite well about I think what we're talking about. I can't remember alcohol or caffeine. He said you're just borrowing from tomorrow today, and it's like no, it makes sense. Just be normal the whole time, and so you can roll with it. But
problem is, I really love the coffee focus. Like I love it. It's really, that drug is amazing.
Yeah,
and you can always couple it with something nice to eat, a little sweet.
I was about to say something else. I was going, fucking Jesus, what is that? No wonder you got the performance thing going on.
No, but just, I think it's a ritual, and it's like anything, you got to break the habit. And I'm actually feeling quite good. I'm a little tired in the afternoons, but I really would encourage people to try do it. Like, and it's nice having an accountability partner in my wife. We kind of keep each other checked in on that. And I also look forward to Saturday and Sunday to have a little sweet, and you appreciate it more than.
And in that sugar intake, you said a glass of wine, or you cut alcohol completely?
No, sugar. I'm not like anal about it. I was quite bad with sugar. So in the afternoon, I would want a chocolate. I would want a couple of squares of chocolate, or I would want, maybe once a week I'd sneak a chocolate bar or do something like that, or I'd get a cake or something like that. So I'm trying to get that processed high sugar. If it's in a tomato sauce that's fine. I'm not worried about that too much. I'm just worried about taking in hardcore concentrated processed sugar and bringing it right down, because I remember, what did it for is the tiniest thing. I watched Simon Cowell on Diary of a CEO, and the last question was, what's one thing that you do today that would pay off the most in the future? And Simon Cowell thought about it. He said, stop eating sugar. I thought of all the things, and I knew it. I know sugar's terrible for you, so I finally decided to get serious about giving it a go.
It's true. Like I've cut out alcohol and caffeine a long time ago, and too much bright light before bed and things like that. But the one thing that I still do have is, from time to time, is sugar or lots of carbs, and I can notice, because I've cut everything else out. When I do have the sugar or carbs, I notice the difference in my sleep and the wake ups and things like that. Has such an impact on digestion, which is all, your body's kind of doing all that stuff overnight. I get fleeting moments, and I'm starting to get them more and more. The more stuff that I eliminate, the more bad stuff that I eliminate, I'm starting to get that coffee buzz more 24/7, more around the clock.
Yeah, interesting.
Right? But I haven't got there yet, because I'll go back to the chips, or I'll go back to the pizza, or I'll go back to a little bit of sugar or whatever. But you have these moments when you've been eating clean for 3, 4 days, 5 days, and you just feel clear, like you're on nicotine or something, just by taking away the poison. We go back.
I realized myself, I listened to so many podcasts, and I had the Whoop ring, and I had the Flora ring, and I've just got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm done with all this.
I got rid of them all as well.
I'm like, I just want to walk, get fresh air, and stop eating shit.
Yeah.
And if you just do those things, cut out the things you already know. I think our society today is so addicted to like a device or a pill or a hack. Like for me, just close my mouth at night and breathe through my nose. Pretty simple. You do 10,000 steps briskly, which is what I'm doing. I'm walking from my place at Main Beach all the way down to Jewel, and I go and have sit down at Jewel and then walk back. And I do that fast pace. You sleep better, because you've put yourself through a bit of 90 minutes of intense walking, and that, no pills, no nothing.
Yeah.
And it cures so many things. There's a lot of research on it. All right, last 2 things before we call this one, or 3 things. A movie recommendation, One Life movie. It's called One Life, not One Life Club, like Simon and Emil and those guys doing a great job over there, but the actual movie, One Life. It's Anthony Hopkins. It's a terrific film for anybody watching who wants to be reminded how fortunate we are. It's about an English guy who saved hundreds of children from Poland from Czechoslovakia in World War II when the Germans came in. So watch it if you want to be inspired. You want a really great feel-good movie. And two other things. Did a big spring clean this week myself. I went through my house and I dumped about 2/3 of my clothing to Goodwill. Literally 2/3. Like I emptied out my closet. Shoes I hadn't worn, gone. Shirts I hadn't worn, gone. And just, man, it feels so good to do.
Have you watched the documentary on Netflix about them being a minimal? I can't remember the name. It's Minimalist.
Yeah.
I watched that. I just love that. Like my cupboard is threadbare. Clearly I can shit about it, but I just couldn't be fucked hanging the stuff that I haven't used in 6 months. It's gone. Unless it's seasonal. It's like you're out. Like just very super simple living.
When you're living a high bandwidth life, particularly before I met Cass, she still teases me about it, but I had one knife, one fork, one spoon.
I remember that joint at Prawn Beach out there, right?
Yes, exactly. Because I read a book on minimalism and it really affected me. It was written by a Japanese minimalist, an extreme minimalist. Like extreme minimalists, fun fact, own no more than 43 items in total.
Wow.
Now that sounds like a lot, but it's not. When you actually go through it, I'm talking a knife is one, a fork is
Underwear.
two. Underwear is three, yeah. And in Japan, the minimalists have this whole approach to life, this philosophy that when they live in Tokyo or a city, they choose a neighborhood based and they see cafes as a bedroom, or not a bedroom, but a part of the house. So the external facilities form part of their house and they look at their community as a home, not just the four walls that they rent. It was really interesting. He gave this phenomenal thing that got me really thinking. And he said, the best thing about being minimalist is that it causes you to deeply and carefully consider everything in your life. And he said, so for example, when I became a minimalist, he went through everything, every photo he digitized, right? So he had no photos in his house. They're all gone. They're all digitized, put into the cloud. But he said amongst a pile that was nearly 6 foot tall of photos and documents and rubbish that was all in boxes, he found one thing. And that one thing was a handwritten note drawn by his mother when he was a child, when they lived out in the farm. And he had to go to his auntie's place, which was on the other side of Tokyo. And this is a handwritten note from his mum with every train stop and direction to get him from the farm to her sister's place on the other side when he was only 7 years old or something. And he said, it's a priceless possession to me. And I had it framed and it's one of my 43 items that's in my living room. That reminds me of the love between my mother and me. And it's not buried in a box somewhere. And I really found that very, very powerful. And so anyway, on the weekend, I did that big cleanup and went down to Goodwill. I called Josh, said, come and hit this pile of stuff, whatever you want. I got Bosch shirts, all this shit in there. And then I went and gave probably the best stack of designer clothing you've ever seen in your life to Goodwill at Southport. But you just feel so much lighter and better. I look at my cupboard, I've got like 10 shirts hanging up, the ones that I like and that I wear. I literally had 6 pairs of almost brand new blue jeans. I need 1 pair.
Like I got other than I said the shit in the podcast, I think I've got 13 of the same t-shirt, but they're broken into 3 piles. One when I bought them, how long ago they bought? They're now gym shirts. The middle one's now for just everyday wear, and the good one's for going out, and that's it.
The white bonds, huh?
No, I don't know where they're from, or fucking industry or whatever, but there's 3 piles. I had a friend over the weekend for dinner. Shit, that's fucking incredible that you can actually pick with how old your white t-shirts are and get 3 different piles of white t-shirts. So that's kind of crazy.
It's no different to like eliminating the sugar, eliminating the caffeine. It's like that process of elimination is sometimes all you need to get better. And
oh, it's such a good feeling. So a good reminder, if you want to put it in your diary, don't just say a mental note. I mean, literally go to your diary right now if that resonates with you and make a time to do a clean out. Because honestly, it's so good for you.
I do it and then I keep those shoes in a box and those, like all these shoes. I
get committed, Mark.
I have trouble.
Take them out the back and burn them like you did last time.
The struggle for me, I knew Cass was going to come home and go through the pile. And I was waiting for it. She walked into the bedroom because it was all piled on the bed. And I'm waiting for oh no, not that one. I really like that one on you, right?
Well, I bought that for you.
I bought that for you.
It didn't come.
There was only one item that I took back so I stood my ground, but there was one item that I took back that she was right about, and a couple. But anyway, the good thing. Last thing I want to talk about, I was on a boat yesterday.
Oh, fuck. I was waiting for this. It was never going to sleep, was it?
I did not know this, but I was invited to this event, and it was it ended up being mostly females on this boat. And so it was a business event, and one of my clients, friends, whatever, invited me along and said, hey, would you like to come along and see what we're doing? And so I went along, and I ended up on the outskirts of this boat on the edge because they were
fucking embellishing this
were mostly younger than me. And so I was sitting on the side. Now I got chatted to these two chicks, and they're like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I have a podcast, a few other things. And they said, oh, what's it called? I said, it's called Unemployable. And one girl went, huh, how do I know that name? She goes, oh my God, I went on a date with a guy who was on your podcast. What was his name? James? I'm like, James, James. And then the other girl looked and went, oh my God, that guy's in my DMs right now. And so I'm standing there, and the first girl says, don't worry, I didn't sleep with him, so you can go for it. And I was like, well, you've been one of the few in my head. And you got away. Anyway, so I was sitting there going, so I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, what do I do? And it was the funniest conversation where they both looked at each other and went, what's he like? And girls started sharing notes on you, James. So it was very interesting.
It would have taken long.
And then they asked me what you were like, and anyways, I had a good,
to finish that sentence.
Well, I actually described you as a very nice guy looking for the right girl. So,
they both fled. They both fucking ran.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Gold Coast. That would have turned him to right on. No, it's for us.
Oh, cancelled on the Gold Coast at least.
Oh, dude, I still remember I went on a date when I was single on the Gold Coast, and I'll tell the story. It was a girlfriend who said, I'm going to set you up with this girlfriend of mine. So I went on this date, and I was okay. And then the next day, I didn't hear anything, and blah, blah. And I said to my friend, the girl said, what happened? Like, what did she think? She goes, oh, you don't want to know it. And I'm like, what did she think? And she goes, well, she said, oh God, I can't believe we say this, but she said, Adam is far too nice. I just want a dirty tradie to F. I just want a dirty tradie to sort me out.
Next minute, you're down buying a fucking couple of white beanies.
Oh my God!
So you throw away all those workwear tops that you bought.
I took her to a nice restaurant. I was nice to her, and she said, "I just want a dirty tradie to sort me out." And I was like, "I'm definitely not the right guy for her." But anyway, we chatted about you, James, and your ears must have been burning.
I don't check my DMs that often, so I might give it a look after this drops.
It just goes to show, there's different people out there for everyone, and
there's a lid for every pot. And I thought I better get off this boat before this gets worse.
I've got a similar story to that, but I don't think I'll share it today.
I know, guys, there it is. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. We hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment, a like, whatever. Let us know what you think. And if you don't already subscribe, make sure you do, and tell your friends. Thanks for being here.
DMs.
Bye for now.
Hey there. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.